Another year, another round of terrible free agent predictions. If you're new to the channel, think about subscribing down below. Hit the like button, the bell button, the share button. I don't care. Hit whatever buttons you want. At number 50, I have Adam Frazier signing with the Miami Marlins. Look, the Marlins want contact hitters, and who better than Adam Frazier? Sure, the slash line was down this past year, but he has shown in the past that he can hit the ball quite well. I think the Marlins would be a good fit for him. At number 49, I have Taylor Rogers signing with the Toronto Blue Jays. Taylor Rogers was pretty good last year until he got to the Milwaukee Brewers after the Josh Hader trade. After that, he kind of fell apart. But overall for the year, had a 3.32 FIP. Still had some pretty good strikeout numbers, almost 12 strikeouts per 9. Kept the walks down, kept the home runs down. So I still think he can be a valuable piece in a bullpen, especially considering the track record that he has. The Blue Jays absolutely could use a guy like this. If you take a look at their left-handed relief pitching last year, 25th in FIP with a 4.67. They could also use a few more strikeouts. 16th overall in strikeouts per 9 from their relievers last year. I think Taylor Rogers would be a great fit for their bullpen. At number 48, I have AROLDIS CHAPMAN signing with the LA Dodgers. They took a chance on Craig Kimbrell last year. It didn't work out. Maybe this time they can go after AROLDIS CHAPMAN. Listen, this guy has been dominant in the past, but he has stunk in the last couple of years. The Dodgers, they've had a good way of turning around lefties like Tyler Anderson. Maybe they can do the same thing with AROLDIS CHAPMAN. At number 47, I have MANAEA signing with the San Francisco Giants. Like I mentioned with the Dodgers, the Giants also excel at turning around guys, and I think MANAEA could use a home like that. Take a look at the numbers from this past year with the Padres. A 4.96 ERA, 4.53 FIP. No bueno. I think MANAEA, he got hit with the home run ball in the second half. I definitely think a spacious park like Oracle Park could be a good fit for him. MANAEA to the Giants. At number 46, I have Trey Mancini signing with the Chicago Cubs. Coming off of a World Series championship with the Houston Astros. However, Trey Mancini did not do very well with the Astros down the stretch. But with the Orioles, had some pretty good numbers. And the Cubs, they could use a first baseman. As of right now, you got Matt Mervis, who's in the Arizona Fall League listed there on Fangraphs. I think Trey Mancini could be a pretty nice fit. And also the Cubs tend to like players who can play other positions. He can play first. He can play some outfield. I think the Cubs would be a great fit for Mancini. At number 45, I have Joey Gallo signing with the Tampa Bay Rays. Ever since he got traded to the Yankees in 2021, he has just not been the same, but there's still a ton of power left in that bat, and he's only 28 years old. But taking a look at Joey Gallo, his numbers just completely dipped last year. Still had 19 home runs, but he needs to go somewhere that can get him back on track, and I think Tampa Bay would be the perfect spot for him. If they can get him back on track, that would be a huge boost for their left-handed hitting because they were 25th overall in WRC Plus among their left-handed hitters last year, so they could definitely use a big power bat like him. And taking a look here, you have Harold Ramirez as your DH as of right now. You got other guys, but Tampa Bay, they love doing the platoons. I think they would love to have a left-handed bat like Joey Gallo. I honestly think it's the perfect spot for him. At number 44, I have Michael Conforto signing with the Houston Astros. It's been a while since we've seen Michael Conforto. Last offseason, he wasn't able to get a contract because he had draft pick compensation tied to him, and then he had shoulder problems after the draft, so no teams really wanted any part of him. But I think Michael Conforto, the Astros, they have a couple of guys like Michael Brantley leaving. I think Conforto could be a nice pickup, a low-key signing. And there were some weird reports this past season where the Astros were showing some interest in Michael Conforto. Supposedly, there was a 2-year, $30 million offer that was offered to Conforto. However, Scott Boras said these were inaccurate. Who knows? I mean, I'm always a believer. When there's smoke, there's fire. So maybe the Astros really were intent on trying to bring this guy in. I don't know. But I think Conforto, he could definitely be a boost for the Astros that could be losing a couple of bats. At number 43, I have Andrew Heaney signing with the Chicago White Sox. Andrew Heaney had some pretty decent numbers last year. Dealt with some injuries, but overall, Andrew Heaney over the 16 games was pretty solid. A 3.10 ERA, 3.75 FIP. But look at the strikeouts per 9. About 13.5 strikeouts per 9. Kept the walks down. The home runs were still a little high, just a little under 2 home runs per 9, so he's definitely got to work on that. But with the White Sox, you got Johnny Cueto becoming a free agent, so you could use another guy in this rotation. They could use a lefty as well. Andrew Heaney, I don't think it will cost a whole bunch. I think it would be a nice fit in this rotation for the White Sox. At number 42, I have Michael Wacha signing with the Boston Red Sox. Michael Wacha really reinvented himself last year after a few down years, but with the Red Sox, something worked here. Over 23 starts, he did miss a little bit of time with some shoulder fatigue, but a 3.32 ERA, a 4.14 FIP. Something worked with the Red Sox this past year, and he had nothing but good things things to say about the Red Sox, saying it would be a cool place to pitch again next year, but time will tell. Supposedly, the Red Sox would love to have him back. We'll just have to see. Can they come to terms on a contract? But I think Michael Wacha ends up back in the Red Sox back end of the rotation. At number 41, I have Brandon Belt signing with the San Francisco Giants. Brandon Belt had a bad year last year, had some knee issues, ended up getting surgery on his right knee, but he is saying that he's feeling a lot better. I think for the Giants, he's been with them his entire career. I think that bat, it was so good a couple of years ago. 29 homers a couple of years ago, a 378 on base, a 597 slugging, a 157 WRC plus. Yeah, sure, down year last year with some injuries, but I still think he could do really well with the San Francisco Giants. I think maybe like a one-year deal, maybe an option on top of that. I think the Giants and Brandon Belt get it done, and they come back together. At number 40, I have Rafael Montero signing with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Rafael Montero this past year, oh my goodness, what a resurrection of a career. He was horrible in 2021, and this past year with the Astros, my goodness, 71 games, a 2.37 ERA, a 2.64 FIP. In the postseason, he was absolutely fantastic, but the Diamondbacks absolutely need some bullpen help, and I think Rafael Montero could be a huge boost for that bullpen. They were dead last in relief pitching last year. Rafael Montero to the Arizona Diamondbacks. At number 39, I have Michael Brantley signing with the Texas Rangers. He dealt with some injuries last year, dealing with a shoulder, but over 64 games, still did pretty well, hit 288 with a 370 on base. Michael Brantley, when healthy, is still a productive player, and he's saying the shoulder's feeling well. He should be ready for full-time baseball activities come spring training. And I think the Rangers could really use a guy like this. They're trying to create a winning culture. Michael Brantley, he's a pro's pro. Guys love playing with the guy. He's always a professional out there, and he's going to be great for the top of your lineup, gets on base. And as of right now, you got Josh Smith as your option for left field on Fangraphs. I think Michael Brantley right now would be a much better option. Hopefully he can stay healthy, but I think he could be a really productive player for the Texas Rangers, which is an organization trying to get back into contention. At number 38, I have Mitch Haniger signing with the Seattle Mariners. Mitch Haniger also dealt with some injuries last year, limited to 57 games, had 11 home runs, not a great slash line overall, but Mitch Haniger a couple of years ago, 39 homers, 100 RBIs, 485 slugging's pretty good, a 121 WRC plus. I think for the Mariners and Mitch Haniger, maybe a one-year deal with an option of some sort, I think could get it done. Mitch Haniger, he's basically been with the Mariners in his entire career, except for that little small sample size with the Diamondbacks back in 2016. But Mitch Haniger, he's a fan favorite. I say the Mariners bring him back. At number 37, I have Christian Vazquez signing with the St. Louis Cardinals, the heir apparent to Yadier Molina. Christian Vazquez, here you go. These guys have had comparisons for years now. I love me some Christian Vazquez. Got traded to the Astros at the trade deadline, ended up winning the World Series with them. Christian Vazquez, you're not going to get a ton of bat, but that's not where his value lies. Very good defensively, very good with the pitching staff, and the Cardinals, they like that because they had that with Yadier Molina for like 20 years. And so now you have a chance to get the heir apparent to him. I say Christian Vazquez to the St. Louis Cardinals. At number 36, I have JD Martinez signing with the San Diego Padres. I think his time with Boston is up, and I think he ends up going to the Padres. Overall, JD Martinez is still a very good hitter. The power was down a little bit last year, 16 homers and a 448 slugging, but still a good on base with a 341 on base, hit 274. I think the Padres, a good bat like his could be a nice addition, somewhere in the 5th or the 6th spot in the lineup. JD Martinez, there were some rumors that the Padres were interested in him at the deadline. I think a bat like his could be really nice for the Padres. At number 35, I have Jock Peterson signing with the Toronto Blue Jays. Jock Peterson, wherever he goes, he tends to just be productive, and another productive season this year with the Giants. Better against right-handed hitting, not much so against left-handed pitching, but overall hit 23 homers, a 274 average, a 353 on base, 521 slugging, and the Blue Jays need a left-handed bat. Jock Peterson, you can find a way to mix him in. I know you got a lot of guys here that are pretty much in these spots, but Danny Jansen could be a trade candidate. Maybe you could work Jock Peterson in to the DH spot depending on the matchup that day. I think Peterson would be a really good fit for the Blue Jays. At number 34, I have Noah Syndergaard signing with the Atlanta Braves. Noah Syndergaard resurrected his career last year after missing a lot of time with Tommy John, 25 games, 24 starts, 3.94 ERA, 3.83 FIP. However, with Syndergaard, his strikeouts are a lot lower than his career average, 6.35 strikeouts per 9 last year. Those are way down. So he's focused more on contact now, getting ground balls, fly balls as well. well. I think the Atlanta Braves, they had a very good infield last year, 5th in outs above average. And I think, hey, you know what? I think they could use another starter here. You got Bryce Elder at the back here. He did do pretty well. I think a veteran guy like SYNDERGAARD could be a nice fit for the Atlanta Braves. At number 33, I have Kolten Wong signing with the Boston Red Sox. A little bit of foreshadowing here, perhaps. I don't know. You're going to have to stay tuned. But Kolten Wong, he does have a club option with the Brewers. But if they don't pick it up, I think the Red Sox could make a run at him. They've been connected with him in the past before he ended up going to the Brewers. But Kolten Wong, with the glove this year, it was down. That was one weird thing about him because he has always had a good glove. The defensive numbers, though, were not very good this year, but the offensive numbers were pretty decent overall. Hit 251, 339 on base, 430 slugging, a 116 WRC plus, the 15 homers. But one thing I think the Red Sox would like about Kolten Wong is that he doesn't strike out a lot. He doesn't swing and miss a lot. He doesn't chase a lot. He walks a decent amount too. I think the Red Sox, they tend to like those kind of players, and I think Kolten Wong, if he does end up becoming a free agent, does not have that club option picked up, I think the Red Sox end up getting him. At number 32, I have Mike Zunino signing with the Boston Red Sox. This has Chaim Bloom written all over it. Mike Zunino missed a lot of time this past year, had to get thoracic outlet surgery, but he is saying he is feeling symptom-free, feeling good. Mike Zunino and that big right-handed power bat at Fenway Park could be insane. He has always been a monster at Fenway Park, and he's also really good defensively. I could absolutely see Chaim Bloom jumping all over this, considering they have that connection with the Rays, but his bat just fits so well at Fenway Park. And as of right now, you have Reese McGuire and Connor Wong, but to me, I think if you could get a big right-handed bat like that at Fenway Park, I think that would be an upgrade over someone like a Connor Wong. I'd be okay with Reese McGuire being on the bench, Connor Wong more for depth. I think Zunino, if I don't know, I like this one. In my gut, I see Mike Zunino going to the Red Sox. At number 31, I have Zach Eflin signing with the Philadelphia Phillies. Zach Eflin just coming off of a World Series, falling short 4-2 against the Astros, but Zach Eflin pitched pretty well in the postseason. He did miss some time this year with some injuries, but overall 20 games, 13 starts, 4.04 ERA, a 3.56 FIP though. Now, the question is, he's going to end up being a starter, a reliever. I think with how he pitched as a reliever, he can try and carry that over to the starting rotation. I think Zach Eflin and the Phillies are still a good connection. And like I said, he pitched well in the postseason over 10 games, a 3.38 ERA, a 2.64 FIP. His strikeouts were up in the postseason. It looked like he figured something out. I think he ends up going back to the Phillies. At number 30, I have Kenley Jansen signing with the Atlanta Braves. There's no reason for Jansen to leave the Braves. They got to bring this guy back. He was so good at the back end of the bullpen last year. 3.38 ERA, 3.21 FIP. Remember how he pitched in that Mets series that ended up winning the division for them? He pitched in back-to-back-to-back games, getting the save in each game. He was phenomenal. Kenley Jansen is still one of the best closers in the game. I think, honestly, you just got to bring this guy back. At number 29, I have Jameson Taillon signing with the Colorado Rockies. A pretty decent season last year for Jameson Taillon on the Yankees. 32 starts, almost 180 innings pitched, a 3.91 ERA, a 3.94 FIP. His strikeouts per 9 were down a little bit last year, but he also lowered his walks per 9 and his home runs per 9. He also got his ground balls back up. He's always been more of a ground ball pitcher. 2021, he had a 33% ground ball percentage. He got it back up to 40% this past year. So I think at Coors Field, he would play pretty nicely there, not just because of the ground balls, but he also utilizes a slider and a cutter. Pitches with more horizontal movement tend to be less affected at Coors Field, where pitches like curveballs and sinkers and changeups, they tend to hang more in the zone. So I feel like his stuff would play nicely at Coors Field. They could also use another starting pitcher. German Marquez was decent down the stretch. You got Kyle Freeland, but overall, this rotation needs something. I think Jameson Taillon, he'd be a pretty nice fit for the Colorado Rockies. At number 28, I have Carlos Carrasco signing with the New York Mets. Well, I have the Mets picking up his club option, but there's no reason not to pick it up. He had 29 starts last year, 3.97 ERA. FIP was better at a 3.53. Underrated season for Carrasco last year. I think he goes back to the Mets. At number 27, I have Jerickson Profar signing with the Detroit Tigers. Jerickson Profar decided to elect free agency. I think he's going to go for a longer-term deal, and I think for the Tigers, it would be a good fit. Overall, with Profar last year, pretty good season overall. 331 on base isn't bad. The average a little low at 243, a little low with the slugging at 391, 15 homers. But Profar, he walks a lot. He doesn't strike out a lot. I think Profar would be a good fit for the Detroit Tigers. They have an opening in left field. He can also move around and play some other positions as well, like he has in his career. I have Profar going to the Detroit Tigers. At number 26, I have Martin Perez signing with the Texas Rangers. He figured something out last year. What a good season for Martin Perez. A 2.89 ERA, 3.27 FIP, over 32 starts. He really went heavy with the sinker and the cutter last year. He basically ditched the fastball. Martin Perez and the Rangers, they figured something out. Let's sign this guy back up for another few years. I think he could be a key piece in that rotation for the next few seasons. At number 25, I have Corey Kluber signing with the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox have been hot on Kluber's tail the last 2 off seasons. They wanted him before he signed with the Yankees. They wanted him before he signed with the Rays. Third time's a charm. I think he comes to Boston here. 31 starts for the Rays last year. 4.34 ERA, but a 3.57 FIP is a lot better. I think Kluber would be a nice presence in the rotation here, a nice veteran guy, 3-4 in the rotation. I think he ends up finally going to the Red Sox. At number 24, I have Kodai Senga signing with the Chicago Cubs. Just like Seiya Suzuki last year, they're going to get another guy out of Japan, and this is going to be a good one. Throws over 100 miles per hour. Kodai Senga can end up being one of the most underrated signings this offseason. Like I mentioned earlier, the Cubs really need starting pitching, so I had them getting Jameson Taillon, but I think they're going to be really aggressive this offseason, especially with the pitching. They're going to go out, they're going to get Kodai Senga, have him join up with Seiya Suzuki. At number 23, I have Brandon Drury signing with the LA Dodgers. A breakout year for Drury last year. Hit 28 homers with a 263 average, a 320 on base, a 492 slugging, a 123 WRC+. Absolutely a breakout year between the Reds and the Padres. He got a taste of the NL West, and I think he stays in the NL West. Now, there's a little bit of foreshadowing with Justin Turner. Where do I have him going? But with Drury, I think they're going to prefer him over someone like Justin Turner. I know Turner is a fan favorite there. I know he got the Roberto Clemente Award. But I think with Drury, this is a younger guy. He can play other positions as well. I think for the Dodgers, they're going to see him as a better fit. At number 22, I have Josh Bell signing with the Houston Astros. He was the throw-in for the Juan Soto deal. Josh Bell, I think, ends up going to Houston. They have an opening at first base now that Yuli Gurriel is a free agent as well as Trey Mancini. But Josh Bell, he's from Texas. There were actually rumors out there that the Astros were interested in Josh Bell at the trade deadline, and I think it would be a good fit for them. Last year, hit 266 with a 362 on base, 17 homers, a 123 WRC+. Josh Bell, I think, would be a great fit for the Astros. At number 21, I have Taijuan Walker signing with the LA Dodgers. Taijuan Walker with a good season last year with the Mets. 29 starts, a 3.49 ERA, a 3.65 FIP. But with Taijuan Walker, I still think there is more to be had with him. The big strength of Walker last year was his splitter, a negative 14 run value. And the Dodgers last year, they loved using splitters among their starting pitchers. They were second overall in run value when it came to the split finger. I think Taijuan Walker with the Dodgers, this is an organization, they can get more out of these pitchers. Look what happened with Tyler Anderson last year. I think Taijuan Walker would be a really nice fit for the LA Dodgers. At number 20, I have Ross Stripling signing with the Minnesota Twins. A very underrated pitcher last year. Ross Stripling was very good. You always heard about Alek Manoah, Kevin Gausman, but Stripling was really solid in the number 3 spot in the rotation. 32 games, 24 starts, 3.01 ERA, a 3.11 FIP. Would have started game 3 of the wild card game if it got to that point, but I think the Twins, they could definitely use some more starting pitching depth. They were running into some injuries last year. Sure, the rotation is looking a little full. You are going to get Kenta Maeda back, but who knows what's going to be happening with him health-wise. Sonny Gray, they're bringing him back, but they were banged up a little bit in this rotation. I think someone like Ross Stripling, bringing him in for some really good depth. He can go out of the bullpen, long relief as well, and then jump into the rotation when need be. Ross Stripling to the Minnesota Twins. At number 19, I have Jose Quintana signing with the New York Mets. Jose Quintana with a really good season last year. Went to the Cardinals at the deadline. 32 starts, 2.93 ERA, 2.99 FIP. I think for the Mets, a good solid lefty in this rotation would be huge. I know you got David Peterson, you got Luke Casey coming back from injury, but someone like a Jose Quintana, I think, would just be a really nice fit here. I have Taijuan Walker going to the Dodgers, so I think they go after Quintana after he ends up going there. Jose Quintana to the New York Mets. At number 18, I have Nathan Eovaldi signing with the Philadelphia Phillies. Nathan Eovaldi had his ups and downs this past year due to health, but 20 starts overall, 3.87 ERA. The FIP is a little higher at 4.30. He was giving up some hard hit balls, but when you're up and down, like he was, I don't think he was able to really get into a rhythm. I think he'll be a lot better next year, and I think the Phillies would be a great spot for him. As of right now, you had Nola Wheeler. They were in the World Series. Suarez was really good. But, a couple of back-end guys here. Falter. You have some other options as well. Syndergaard, will he come back? I don't know. But Nathan Eovaldi, I think, would be a good addition for the Phillies. He has that connection with Dave Dombrowski. He was the one that gave him the contract extension with the Red Sox. And, I don't know if Nathan Eovaldi ends up going back to the Red Sox. I don't think he was very happy with them getting rid of Plawecki near the end of the season, not bringing back Kyle Schwarber, trading away Hunter Renfroe. He made comments about that. Will he want to go back to the Red Sox? I don't know. But I think for the Phillies, that Dave Dombrowski connection will be big, and I think he would be a big addition in this rotation. Who knows what ends up happening with that, but if they don't exercise it, I think Justin Turner would be a great fit for the Brewers. The Brewers wanted him before he re-signed with the Dodgers a little while back, and I think the Brewers could really use him. As of right now, you got Mike Brasso in at third base. I mean, sure, he did okay with the on-base last year, but it was a small sample size. I think someone like Justin Turner, a nice veteran presence for the Brewers, I think that could be a really fun addition. Justin Turner to the Brewers if he does not go back to the Dodgers. At number 16, I have Anthony Rizzo signing with the New York Yankees. I think this is just a good fit all around. Good left-handed bat in that order at that ballpark. Anthony Rizzo's been a good clubhouse guy for the Yankees as well. And I feel like he was overlooked just because you had Aaron Judge having the monster year that he had. But Anthony Rizzo was really good this year. Had 32 homers, a 338 on base, a 480 slugging, a 132 WRC+. I don't see a reason to break this partnership. Anthony Rizzo back to the Yankees. At number 15, I have Tyler Anderson signing with the LA Dodgers. Like I mentioned with WACHA and the Red Sox, something just worked here with Tyler Anderson. A breakout year with the Dodgers, started in the playoffs. 2.57 ERA, a 3.31 FIP. A really good year with the Dodgers. I don't see any reason to break this partnership. Definitely get this guy signed back up for at least a couple more years. Tyler Anderson to the Dodgers. At number 14, I have Andrew Benintendi signing with the Miami Marlins. Like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, Adam Frazier, high contact guy. The Marlins are looking for contact hitters. Andrew Benintendi definitely gets a lot of contact. A really good year last year. It got shortened because of a fractured wrist, but hit 304, a 373 on base, 122 WRC+. Andrew Benintendi would be a huge boost for this Miami Marlins team. At number 13, I have Chris Bassett signing with the New York Mets. Like I mentioned with Carrasco, you need to just keep these guys intact. You need to keep this rotation together. Chris Bassett, very solid season in the middle of the rotation last year for the Mets. 30 starts, 3.42 ERA, 3.66 FIP. He has said that he really has enjoyed his time with the Mets and he would like to stay there longer. Chris Bassett, don't really see a reason for him to leave. He goes back to the Mets. At number 12, I have Wilson Contreras signing with the Chicago Cubs. Let's just make Wilson Contreras a Cub for life. He's just one of the better offensive catchers in the game. Hit 243 last year with a 349 on base, a 132 WRC+, 466 slugging, 22 homers. He was almost traded at the trade deadline. There were a lot of rumors about him going elsewhere, and there was a trade supposedly that was agreed upon, but Dusty Baker and the owner for the Astros, Jim Crane, decided to shoot it down because they just felt like Jose Urquidy was going to be a better fit for them, and they felt like he wasn't going to be complaining about playing time, where they weren't quite sure if Wilson Contreras wasn't going to be enjoying his playing time or not, so he ended up staying with the Chicago Cubs. I just think this is a perfect Chicago Cub in my opinion. Wilson Contreras stays with the Chicago Cubs. At number 11, I have Jose Abreu signing with the Miami Marlins. First, I had them getting Adam Frazier, Andrew Benintendi, and now the cherry on top, Jose Abreu. They're looking for offense this offseason, and I think they're going to have a big offseason when it comes to adding some bats. Jose Abreu would be a huge bat for the Marlins in the middle of that order, but I don't think he's going to cost anywhere near what these other guys are going to cost, so I think the Marlins would be okay with his price tag. The power was down a little bit this past year, but overall, still a pretty good year. Hit 304, a 378 on base, a 446 slugging, 15 homers, a 137 WRC+. I think the Marlins need a big bat like Jose Abreu. They definitely could use an upgrade at first base. Garrett Cooper, more of a designated hitter in my opinion. Jose Abreu, a Miami Marlin. At number 10, I have Clayton Kershaw signing with the LA Dodgers. Listen, I don't think Clayton Kershaw is ever going to leave the Dodgers. I thought he was going to go to the Rangers last offseason. Now, I definitely think there's a chance he could still go to the Rangers this offseason. He is enjoying family time more and more every offseason he goes home. And the Rangers are, once again, going to be high on Clayton Kershaw. They want to start bringing in winning players. They want to start getting into contention. So don't count out the Rangers here. But Clayton Kershaw, until he leaves the Dodgers, I just don't see him leaving. I'd have to see him leave to actually believe it. At number 9, I have Brandon Nimmo signing with the New York Yankees. Brandon Nimmo had a really good year last year with the Mets, 151 games, hit 274, a 367 on base, 16 homers. I think that left-handed bat at Yankee Stadium would be a great fit, and I think it would be a huge upgrade over Aaron Hicks. Aaron Hicks was doing a pretty good job at getting on base last year, but you weren't getting a whole lot else with him, and defensively, I think Nimmo is going to be the upgrade. And there are reports out there that the Yankees are interested in Nimmo. I think he ends up jumping ship in New York. He goes from the Mets to the Yankees. At number 8, I have Justin Verlander signing with the New York Yankees. Most likely winning the Cy Young this year. 28 starts. Did miss a little bit of time, but not a big deal. A 1.75 ERA, a 2.49 FIP. Justin Verlander with the Yankees, I think that's exactly what they need. They should have gotten him last offseason. They did make a run at him late. He did say that the Yankees, they came on a little strong at the end. Their offer didn't really get quite close to what the Astros were doing. But I think the Yankees, they saw what happened in the postseason this past year to the Astros. They need to go get a stud guy like Justin Verlander with the Yankees rotation right now. You got Garrett Cole at the top, but listen, I think Nestor Cortez is more of a 3 in a rotation. Montas ended up not really doing anything for you. You do have Severino coming back, but I think you got to go after a guy like Justin Verlander. This is who you should have had last year, but it is what it is. But I think Justin Verlander, I think he shocks everyone. I think he goes to the Yankees. At number 7, I have Carlos Correa signing with the Baltimore Orioles. Carlos Correa once again having a good season this past year, hitting 291 with a 366 on base, a 467 slugging, a 140 WRC plus, 22 homers. Still playing great defense out there. One of the best defensive shortstops out there. I think it is time for the Baltimore Orioles to make a move. They completely exceeded expectations this past year. They were a fun team. They were in the wild card hunt. I think they need to go after a stud guy like Carlos Correa. Sure, you have Jorge Mateo there, but let's be real here. Carlos Correa is clearly the better option. They have definitely the money to spend. He has the Mike Elias connection. And remember with the Orioles, there were reports out there last offseason that they made a push for him. They were offering something long-term. Who knows how accurate that was. He ended up signing with the Twins, but I think they go for it again. And I think because of that Mike Elias connection, because of the strong push that they made last year for a wild card spot, you got a lot of young players there. I think Carlos Correa ends up going to the Baltimore Orioles. At number 6, I have Dansby Swanson signing with the Atlanta Braves. I know the Atlanta Braves tend not to give out these long-term deals, but I think this one's a little different. I think Dansby Swanson, being one of the more premier shortstops in the game, the best defensive shortstop in the game last year, while also doing a great job offensively. Dansby Swanson, I think there's a different case with him. Again, like I said, the Braves, they tend not to do these long-term deals. Look what happened with Freddie Freeman, other players in the past as well. They like to lock up guys while they're young. But Dansby Swanson, it's not like he's, an old man out there. He's 28 years old, still one of the best shortstops in the game. He's just going into his prime. I think Dansby Swanson is a guy the Braves need to hang on to. I mean, look at the numbers from last year at the plate. Hit 277, 25 home runs, a 116 WRC plus. Not the best offensive numbers out there, but look at the job that he did defensively. My goodness, one of the best defensive shortstops in the game. I think you got to hang on to this guy. Again, it's a different case here. I think you can make an exception here considering the importance of the position that he plays. You do have Vaughn Grissom there, but Vaughn Grissom going through the minor leagues was more of a second baseman. Now, could you have him play short? Sure, but I would feel more comfortable moving on with or going forward with Dansby Swanson. And you got some money coming off the books over the next couple of years. Charlie Morton, Ozuna will be off the books eventually. I think Dansby Swanson, let's get this guy back to Atlanta for the next, 5, 6, maybe even 7 years. At number 5, I have Xander Bogaerts signing with the Chicago Cubs. History repeats itself. Remember what happened with John Lester back after the 2014 season. The Red Sox, they tried offering him an extension that spring training, and it was an awful offer. John Lester ended up moving on in the offseason to the Chicago Cubs. The Red Sox made a late push, but it was too little too late, and I think the same thing happens with Xander Bogaerts here, unfortunately. And the Cubs, will bring him in. Xander Bogaerts continues to be one of the better shortstops in the game, especially offensively. A little down with the power last year, but still hit 307, had a 377 on base, 456 slugging, a 134 WRC plus. He plays a steady defense out there at shortstop, and I think for the Cubs, they would love a player like this. Sure, you have Nico Hoerner at shortstop right now, but you can move him around, maybe move him to second base. Nick Madrigal, you never know what's going on with him health-wise. You know, with Madrigal, he's more of a one-dimensional hitter. I love Nick Madrigal. I love the contact that he gets. But at the end of the day, if I have a chance to add a premier shortstop like this, I'm going to do it any day of the week. Maybe even down the road, Bogaerts could move to third, at some point if Nico Hoerner is the better shortstop. I don't know. But Bogaerts, I think, would be a huge boost for this team. And I can't stop thinking about John Lester to the Cubs back after that 2014 season. At number 4, I have Carlos Rodon signing with the Texas Rangers. The Rangers want pitching. Here you go. Carlos Rodon, one of the best starting pitchers on the market. 31 starts last year with the Giants, 178 innings, 2.25 FIP, 2.88 ERA, about 12 strikeouts per 9. He was absolutely fantastic last year with the Giants. To me, he's the perfect fit for the Texas Rangers. They need another addition to this rotation. You got John Gray last year, but that's not going to get it done. You need to add Carlos Rodon here. I already said earlier, Martin Perez should come back, and I think that would be a pretty decent rotation. I think they could even go after another guy out there. Could you maybe try and see if Kershaw can come in? One of these other starters on the market, maybe someone like a Jameson Taillon or, whoever. But Carlos Rodon, to me, needs to be the #1 target for the Texas Rangers. They need pitching. Carlos Rodon is quite a good pitcher. At number 3, I have Jacob deGrom signing with the New York Mets. Speaking of really good pitchers, Jacob deGrom is a really good pitcher, and I think him and the Mets end up coming to terms on a deal. Yes, he has obviously the health risk there. Only had 11 starts last year, but really good numbers. A 2.13 FIP. Are you kidding me? 14 strikeouts per 9 last year, a walk per 9. The home runs were a little up last year, but you got to remember, this guy was coming back from like a broken scapula or whatever the heck it was. But to me, Jacob deGrom is a Met. You got to figure out how to get this done. deGrom goes back to the Mets. At number 2, I have Trea Turner signing with the LA Dodgers. Trea Turner has been extremely good with the Dodgers since coming over from that trade with Max Scherzer. I don't see any reason for the Dodgers to let him go. He likes playing there. There's been reports that he wants to go back to the East Coast, but I don't know. Turner, I've also read reports that he likes being on the West Coast as well. I don't think that's really going to matter all that much. I think for the Dodgers, he's been there. He's shown that he can play there. I mean, look at the numbers here. 298 this year with the batting average of 343 on base, 21 homers, 27 stolen bases, plays good defense. Sure, he had a key error there in the postseason, but Trea Turner, I mean, come on, you got to keep this guy around. I think the Dodgers, they find a way to lock him up for a long-term deal. And at number 1, I have Aaron Judge signing with the San Francisco Giants. This is going to be the big splash of the offseason. Aaron Judge going to the San Francisco Giants. He'll be their next Barry Bonds. And my goodness, look at the year that he had last year. 62 home runs, breaking an American League record, Roger Maris's record of 61 home runs. It's only quite fitting that he would go to the San Francisco Giants when Barry Bonds has the record for home runs in a single season. I mean, my goodness, it just makes all the sense in the world. At 11.4 Fangraph WAR, this guy was absolutely phenomenal last year. It looks like he has completely moved on from the health issues that were plaguing him a few years ago. I think for the San Francisco Giants, they need this bat in the lineup. It just felt like there was just something missing here in this lineup. To me, Aaron Judge is the perfect hitter for the San Francisco Giants. I don't think the Yankees are going to go too far with the money. I think they made the extension offer. He turned it down. I don't think the Yankees will go a lot further than what they offered. I think the Giants are motivated to go after Aaron Judge. I mean, there's been reports out there that they will not stop for Aaron Judge until they get their guy. I think it just makes all the sense in the world. I think Aaron Judge will end up being a San Francisco Giant. So those are my predictions. Tell me how awful you think they are down below in the comments. But that's all I have for right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.